Here, this is Adulting 101. We're talking about money. If you are in the wrong class, stay, please. Like you're supposed to be here. I really believe that. I wish I would have been there. I'm in the right class here. I want to share just briefly about who we are, me and my wife, and then we're going to get into the topic of money. You know, it's interesting. The topic of money, there are over 2,300 scriptures about money. If you read through the parables of Jesus, you will quickly see money all over the place, and spending and wealth and all of that stuff. First to start, you know, this is a picture of my family. We've got 3 kids. We've got a 6-year-old, a 1.5-year-old, and then a 4-year-old. Me and my wife have been married for 12 years. Wow. We've been in Chicago for the past 9 months. We're grateful to be there. Prior to that, we planted a small church in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So we're Midwest, kind of till we died. And before that, we were actually in Milwaukee for 10 years. We went to school in Milwaukee. Like I went right down the street, and my wife went to school right down the street, but just different directions. And then we started campus ministry like right out of school. You know, one of the greatest joys in our lives, or in my life specifically, has been seeing some of the young professional ministry in Milwaukee come through, get converted in campus ministry, and then now enter into Milwaukee as like thriving young professionals. There are a lot of them who, a lot of the young professionals are here serving as ushers or different roles, a lot of like in the children's ministry. And so many of them have decided not to go into the full-time ministry, but they've decided, I'm going to serve God with what I have, and I'm going to be committed and devoted, and I'm going to learn how to spend money well. And that was one of the main things that we've talked about pretty continually is we want to learn how to spend money. Like there's going to be a point in time when right now you feel like, oh, I don't have much money, so I won't spend it. We're gonna cover a lot of that. I think if you leave with nothing else, leave with a reality and understanding that God really cares deeply about where you spend your money.
Amen.
You know, I think in a room this size, my prayer this morning, and this is what we prayed about, is that I don't think this lesson is for everybody. So hear me now. I think this lesson is maybe for 5 or 10 people. Okay. You know, if you might listen and you're like, this wasn't for me yet. Listen then next year, throw it on, you know, Spotify, wherever this is going to be landing, and maybe it'll be for you. But I think there are 10 people. I think there's 5 or 10 people who are determined to break generational curses or to double down on generational strengths as it relates to how you view money. I think those of you, there's going to be a few of you who feel this tug on your heart that is not just quelled with great fellowship. Like great fellowship is awesome, and yet at the end of this evening, you're like, man, that one class about money, it meant something. Like maybe I need to sit with this a little bit more.
Yeah. Amen.
You know, those who are determined to shift their focus from where the world is pressing you and how the world is pressing you to focus on and what to do with your money. And instead, some of you are going to leave deciding, this is what God would have me do with the money that I make. You know, I love this topic. The Bible speaks so much about it. You know, if you decide to let your convictions about money be baptized with what the Bible teaches, then you will frustrate the world's perception of money.
Cool.
Whenever we have the opportunity to frustrate what the world thinks, I think that's super exciting for me. Like the world has no idea what to do with their money, and this is why. On one hand, the Bible sees the creation of wealth to be much more positive than socialistic societies. Wealth creation is seen much more positively than in socialistic society. The socialistic society is basically, in America, we would call it a traditional liberal or democratic viewpoint, public ownership of everything. The Bible sees making money for the individual to be much more positive than a socialistic society. Wow. On the other end, the Bible sees wealth as a higher potential for corruption than a capitalistic society. And again, these words, they might, what does this mean? What does this mean? Capitalistic society would be traditional, like conservative views, Republican viewpoint. The world, if you leave with nothing, you're like, that was over my head. The world has no ability to spend money well, and the government is not able to teach you that.
Amen.
You know, we're going to go through about 3 things, and there's some practicals by the end of this little bit. But again, let's not jump to the practicals before we have that conviction about where to spend our money.
Okay.
Again, if you leave with nothing, I want to convince you that we need to be free from the pull of money. The way you spend and make money has spiritual implications, and spending well is always honored by God. Bianca's going to come up and share the first point, then I'm going to share a couple more points right after that.
All right, come on, B.
Okay, hi everyone. So I get to talk about materialism. And I'm excited to talk about it because I think it is in our faces all the time, but sometimes it's really uncomfortable to talk about. I think money in general can be really uncomfortable to talk about. But materialism is a way of thinking that gives too much attention to wealth, possessions, and physical comfort. So it's when you let your hope drift away from God and put it instead into what you have. So I struggle with materialism. I struggle to give up comforts for God. I have a vision for my life and what I think it should look like and what I want from it. I find it hard to not compare myself to others when it comes to my job or where I live, what I have. And I didn't know really that I struggled with this until I was in like the last 2 years of college. So when it started to become more real to me. That's when I was making decisions on, okay, what am I gonna pursue? What's most important to me? What are my values? Asking these questions really revealed that in my heart, the materialism that was there. So I've grown in this area of my life, but it's a constant battle. I think just when I think like I've mastered it and I'm content, you can easily scroll and you see on social media like what you're missing out on, or what someone's doing, or what your life should look like. We're not immune to materialism when we live in this world. And we're tempted every day to hold on to or dwell on what we have or don't have. So, how do you know if you are materialistic? Here are some identifiers.
Oh boy.
You got me, Jaren? Thank you. So you might struggle with materialism if you judge people based on what they own or where they are in life. Buying something gives you a temporary high or a rush of excitement, but then it wears off.
That's real.
You buy high-end or trendy items, not because you genuinely love or need them, but because you want to fit in or gain approval. You deeply care about how your lifestyle appears to others. That one's big for me. You tend to think, I'll finally be satisfied once I get fill in the blank. The scholarship, the internship, the job. You struggle to pay basic bills because you spend your money poorly. You feel lingering envy, resentment, or inadequacy when someone you know or see online buys something new, goes on a trip, or has accomplished something you want. Or you routinely sacrifice personal relationships, health, creative hobbies, or personal growth in order to work more.
Mercy.
You don't have to find all these to be true about yourself to be materialistic, but I think if we're honest, we've all experienced some of these things at different times.
Absolutely.
It's hard not to, right? In a world that glamorizes our lives online, and it only takes minutes to buy something on Amazon. And hustle culture is constantly praised so you can reach your goals. We're constantly enticed by the world's wealth in the form of money. Matthew 6:21 says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So what do you treasure? If someone looked at your life and how you spend your money, your time, or what consumes your thoughts, what would they say you value? So we're going to turn our Bibles over to 1 Timothy chapter 6. In verse 10, it says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs."
Wow.
Okay, so I don't think anyone naturally thinks they're greedy or materialistic.
Right.
Especially when you're comparing yourself to the world, right? I think of billionaires, CEOs that are step on anyone to get to the top or what you want. Maybe they give back to charities, but it's mainly like a good PR tactic.
Yep.
We can easily become Pharisees in this area, I think.
Wow.
Pharisees will see this in everyone else but themselves. I'm guilty of this. But the Bible calls the love of money a root of evil. Okay? Think about a plant root. They go deep into the ground, they're strong, and the longer they have to grow, the more they spread out, right? Materialism is like a root. Think about that. You can't see the root of a plant at first glance. You have to start digging and digging, and depending on how deep the roots are, you might have to dig for a long time and with more strength to get it all the way to the bottom. And when roots are bad, when they're evil and they're bad, they show like little signs of damage to the plant at first, right? Like maybe the plant's like yellowing a little bit, the bark of the tree is loose, some mushrooms you'll see at the base, but over time, the roots result in a tree that's unstable and rots from the inside out.
Wow.
So it actually takes a lot of thoughtfulness and intention to dig out the root of the love of money, to see materialism. You can't see it at first glance, but start digging with intention and you'll see where the roots are. And I read this verse like a caution sign. It's basically like the warning label you hear at like the end of a drug commercial. Like, warning, may cause all kinds of evil.
Right.
Wow. It doesn't say having money or using money or working hard. It says the love of money. The love of money is so deceptive. It's sneaky because it's literally revolved around the very responsibilities we're given. That all, you can't get away from it, away from money.
Yep.
And so, this is where it's so interesting because how we view money was actually taught to us as you grew up, right? Like you pick things up. Even if it wasn't like explicitly said, you start to notice what you see around you.
Yeah.
And this is something that I struggled with, but I didn't realize until I went to college. And I had to start making decisions for myself on what I'm gonna do. And I had to dig a little deep. And the more I dug, the more I saw how unhealthy my view of money was. So a little of my background. So I was raised by a single mom. Okay, she worked so hard. She worked a lot. She had to. I'm so grateful for her example and her sacrifice. That woman is amazing. And we didn't have a lot of money. We were a single income household. But she made sure that we never felt that.
Wow.
She wanted us to not ever feel like we're missing out on something. And she wanted us to not feel like different from our friends, our peers, because our family looked a little bit different. So she would buy us expensive things that we wanted so we could fit in. And I remember, maybe it was like middle school, but I remember wanting like UGG shoes for Christmas, okay? Those are like hundreds of dollars. I was in middle school.
Wow.
I'm gonna ruin them anyway. But I wanted them so bad. I'm like, Mom, they can't be the Bear Paw brand. They can't be like off-brand. I need the Uggs. I need them in this. My friends have them. We're all getting them for Christmas. We're gonna show up with them. Things like that. And she would make it happen. My brother too, like whatever like game system, or like trips. Our friends would go on vacations every summer. I wanted that. I'm like, my friend's going to Disney. Can we go to Disney? And my mom, I think her intentions were so good. She just wanted to care for us and love us, but she would make these things happen even if it meant putting it on a credit card. And my mom, it taught me at a young age that keeping up with what others have is important. And it also taught me that it's okay to work hard at the expense of true peace so that you can provide in this way. And I didn't learn how to be content without those things that I saw. And deep down, I really thought they might bring peace. Materialism in my life wasn't like in your face or overtly greedy. It was a deep root of discontentment that lingered as I grew up. It was subtle, but it grew into insecurity, entitlement, and pressure to meet worldly expectations over God's. How did you come up with your own view of money? How did you see money spent growing up? What expectations do you have for your life, and where did they come from?
Good question.
And what do you spend your money on? Start there, and you'll be able to uncover the roots growing in your heart. Let's keep reading. 1 Timothy, we're still in chapter 6. Let's go down to verse 17. Or read 17 through 19. It says, "Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life." I love verse 17, because the solution isn't just to give up money, right? Not care and just don't look at it, and it won't bother you. It's a perspective change here, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It changes from putting, it says to put your hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Where does enjoyment come from? It comes from God.
Amen.
Whose money is it? It's God's. Whose success, wealth, blessing, status is it? It's God's. He allows you to use it so that you can be rich in good deeds, generous, and willing to share. Whatever wealth you've been given, whether it's with a job, you have a job on campus, you have an internship, a scholarship, possessions, talents, they're all gifts God has given you. It's all His. So let me ask you this. Does it make sense to love a gift more than the giver of that gift?
Great.
Think about that. I have a little story. So a mother loves her son and has very literally given him life. Not only that, but she sustains his life by giving him food, water, clothing, shelter, and lots of love. So let's suppose that one day when the child is 4 or 5, the mother and her husband buy their son a really expensive toy. Okay, this is a good thing. And they take joy in his excitement over it. It's the best thing ever in his eyes. However, they start to notice that he develops a bit of an unhealthy attachment to it. So much so that he would rather be alone with his toy than with both of them. He hardly even says thank you for it, and he almost starts to act like he could have had it even without them. Wouldn't this be heartbreaking?
Yeah.
Wouldn't we say that good thing, it was meant to be good, this gift has actually now distracted him from enjoying a better thing, the love of the relationship with his parents? I think I can treat God that way with the things that He gives me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to treat God that way, but I'm guilty of it if I'm not careful. And that's where this proper view of who our love and hope belong to has to be God. It has to be just God and not let money creep in to that hope, to steal that hope. So I'll leave us with just one place to start, okay? That's to identify where you came up with your current view of money. And, that might take some time. It might take some praying, journaling, study out some scriptures, but ask yourself where your view and God's view are not aligned. Again, that whole you might be materialistic if list, that might not all apply to you, every single thing on there, but your job is to figure out where it does. where does that creep in, that materialism? Because what I found out in life is that you can create a beautiful financial plan for yourself. You can try to spend wisely. You can take a class on adulting, money, but if you don't address materialism and truly place your hope in God, not money, you'll never stick to a budget.
That's right.
You'll make exceptions constantly from your convictions, based on what you feel in the moment instead of being wise with your money. And we're all here because we want to be wise in this way. Okay?
Amen.
Amen. And so if you left and you're like, well, money is, what's the point of it? I don't want to spend it anymore. I don't want to make it. I would say we're going to look at the spiritual value of money. This is in Luke 12. We're going to look, there's two passages in Luke that we'll look at. One is in Luke 12. Understand Jesus cares deeply about where we spend our money and what we spend our money on. Money has great spiritual value. If you show me what you spend your money on, I will show you what you value.
That's good.
If you show me what you spend your money on, I'll show you what you value. This is Luke 12. It just says in verse 13, this is Jesus. He's teaching, and then it says, someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." Pause here. We're gonna get deeper, but right away, this would have been surprising. So this is Jesus teaching. It might be similar to somebody teaching an ICMC class, and then during the question and answer session, about Jesus or this teacher just teaches about, hey, we don't need to have possessions, that God's going to take care of you. You might raise your hand and say, "Hey, teacher who's teaching this class, can you please tell my roommate who hasn't paid me back to please pay me back?"
Right.
You'd be like, what is going on? Why would you possibly say that in that moment? And there's nothing, the roommate who has wronged you or who has not yet paid for their room and who is already going to be late on August rent because they came to ICMC, like they need to pay you. And so this same person, this brother, shouldn't divide the inheritance. But Jesus hears what's being said and is like, this is a problem, not because of this issue. It's a problem because you're not understanding what's actually being taught right now.
Okay.
And then he goes on. He says, then he teaches them this parable. So I love this because Jesus goes, he goes from this. You're like, "Hey, teacher, tell me to do this." And he's like, wait. Pause. I was talking about stuff. Now I'm going to share something that's for you specifically. If you want help here, I'm going to give you help. It says in verse 16, and he told him this parable: the ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I'll store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." This sounds a lot like the American dream. Like this is what you're going to school for. You're taught to, like, we're gonna work hard for a time and we're gonna grind and put all of our energy into something, and then we're gonna work a job and they'll teach you, you gotta grind a little bit on the job. You gotta grind a little bit on the job. You'll get a couple of promotions and then you're gonna have way more responsibility so that when you are in your mid-late 50s and you're not retired yet, but you're still working, you can have a nice office and be a little bit more relaxed and control all of your hours, and you can take life easy. You can eat, drink, and be merry. I want you guys to know this is not just for that time. This is something that we're taught right now. It says in verse 20, but God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" And then this is the kicker. This is what we need to sit with. This is the perspective change that Bianca was talking about. This is what Jesus says. He says, "This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich towards God."
Mercy.
Again, nothing is wrong with what this guy is saying. This question, "Hey, tell my brother to divide the inheritance," but it exposes his heart. I want to ask just a little bit, where do you see this man's heart being exposed? Now let's go to the ground of a certain rich man. So in this parable, where is this man's heart exposed? I'm actually asking. I'd love a couple responses. Yeah.
Building bigger barns.
There you go. And he said, I'm going to build bigger barns. So something good is happening to me, so this is what I'll do. I think even in the beginning, he says he thought to himself. Like, you're not getting advice. Something good things are happening, so I'm thinking to myself then, I'm going to build bigger barns. That's great. Anything else you guys see? Yeah, both of you.
It also just exposes like his lazy heart as well, where the fact that he wants to work hard now and do all these things now so that he can ultimately just like take life easy for the rest of his days and no longer have to do all these things like working hard, just so he can just eat, drink, and be merry for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And that's not a mindset we should be having as disciples.
Yeah. So she said, hey, that take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry is contrary to our decision to make Jesus Lord of our lives. Like, there's not going to be a day where we can just take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry, and not worry about things of the kingdom. That's great, Olivia. Yeah, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say how after he says he's going to tear down his barns and build bigger ones, he's going to store his surplus.
Yeah.
He's like already trying to plan for, the
Yeah.
leftover and the excess that he's going to have.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this excess. It's going to be for me. You don't get any impression that he's going to share it. You get the impression perhaps similar to, the Old Testament. We're going to store up, and so that people will come to us and we will have the full advantage of being able to sell them at whatever price that we set. Absolutely. This is what money has. Money has extreme spiritual value. It has the value to make us dependent on ourselves. Catch this, not on others, not on a community, on ourselves. I know what I can do to make money for myself, to give it, and we can deceive ourselves. Like, I'm gonna make it for my family one day. I'm gonna make it so I have a better relationship then with my kids. I wanna make it so that we can go on great vacations one day, and that's deceptive. This is what we are doing for ourselves. And it has the value of making us not dependent on God either. Money has the value to exhaust our time. Yeah. Building bigger barns takes time. Yeah. Like calling, where do I get these bigger barns? Who can work for me? I gotta oversee the work. I gotta oversee the labor. If you are determined to make a lot of money, I promise you are going to spend a lot of time doing that. Mm-hmm. The other thing is we can scheme without our focus on God. I want to look at just 3 examples from people who I'm saying we as a society admire and idolize in this world to see how they view and think about success or what they're striving to do. And you guys, I want you to catch all 3 of these things. I want you to catch the value from being dependent on themselves. Like, it's all about themselves. I want you to catch the time exhaustion that is necessary in order to be very successful in the world. And then I want to catch the scheming without the focus on God. Like, God is not a part of the equation of these 3 individuals who, again, we all know, we see, we actually admire, the world admires them. One of the first is Patrick Mahomes. Okay. I don't care what your allegiance is to sports and all of that. I got on deck, I got a LeBron one. We're not going to look at this time. Like, I got on deck, there's like plenty of all of the best people that the world idolizes. You will find they are extremely selfish. They're extremely focused on what they can do at the expense of almost everything else. This is what Patrick Mahomes says when he's asked about success. That comes from preparation. It comes from stuff I've worked on throughout my life. Wow. All the training I've done has prepared me. You have to know what you're trying to accomplish every single day. Me. This next guy, man, this is gross. You guys know this guy too, Mr. Beast, man. He has videos on videos, man. This dude is, it's gross. You start sitting with it. Catch this. Literally, all I do every single hour of every day is obsess over how I can make the best videos possible. Yikes. I always want to be improving my content. No matter how big the videos get, I want to go bigger. And then here we got Taylor Swift here. I don't know how this lands with you all. I just want every single one of you to know that I, in no way, shape, or form, look at this, like this success, as the pieces just falling into place. You put the pieces where they are.
Mercy.
This is what the world is pushing on us and telling us this is how we can spend. If you work really hard, good things are going to happen to you. And we would say that is not how the Bible, that's not valuable. You can work very hard for the world and still not receive great spiritual blessings. Catch this, spending is almost never neutral.
Okay.
Like how you spend your money is almost never neutral. That almost there was just in case there's one heart in here that's like, no, it's neutral in this aspect. Fine, that's okay. Maybe where we're going to go to eat, if you're going to go to Chipotle or Qdoba, I'm like, it's about the same price, whatever. In that way, fine. In a lot of other areas, like the consequential spending, it's almost never neutral. This being rich towards God, you think about the joy of being rich towards God. I believe a lot of that is through giving contribution. This is something that should be a conviction of yours before you leave college. That not I'm going to give contribution one day when I make money. No. Right now, your ambition should be to give contribution.
Amen.
That should be something that you're able to do. It should be something you set in your heart before, before you show up on Sunday. You're like, what do I got in my pocket? I got a $5. Okay, here it is. No, that should be a decision that you decide going into Sunday, I'm going to give, and you should give in a way that is sacrificial to you. And I'm not saying that because I'm a minister. I'm saying that because I was one of you who was trained and taught in that when I was young, and it's paid great dividends in my life later on. And we'll see some of those dividends in just a few minutes here as we keep reading. We're in Luke 16 now. I want to go to this joy then. Because there's great joy, catch this, in spending money well. We understand it's deceitful, it has value that can pull us away from God into just ourselves. There is great joy when you become somebody who spends money well. And again, all of this stuff, maybe you came in expecting a great workshop. I think to get to this workshop part of it, there's a lot of preaching that has to occur because our hearts have to be convicted.
Amen.
There's
Preach
no
to
point,
us, bro.
again, Bianca said to just get to here's this plan to do this and do that, and that'll work for 2 months. By the time you are in the kind of middle of October and the fall retreat's coming up, you're like, okay, money, my budget's cooked again. I hope there's a fall retreat for budgeting. The joy of spending well. This is Luke 16. This is a difficult parable. This is one that'll catch you right away. It's not going to be all up here. I'm going to read through it. And then, turn to it if you have a Bible. It says, Jesus told his disciples, there was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. So he called him in and asked him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management because you cannot be manager any longer. The manager said to himself, what shall I do now? My master's taking away my job. I'm not strong enough to dig. I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I'll do so that when I lose my job here, people will welcome me into their houses. And this is the shrewd manager. This is what he does. It says, he called in each one of his master's debtors. He asked the first, how much do you owe my master? 900 gallons of olive oil. The manager told him, take your bill, sit down quickly, make it 450. Now it's a good day to be that debtor right there. Then it said, he asked the second, how much do you owe? 1,000 bushels of wheat. He told him, take your bill and make it 800. This manager was dishonest. He wasn't a good dude. He didn't do stuff well. He wasn't above board. He wasn't, you can go down the list. He was dishonest, and then what happened was he was found out, so behind the scenes, he became even more dishonest, right? Catch this in verse 8. This is going to challenge you. It says, the master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly.
Whoa.
But people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. Here we go. Sit with this, and we're gonna sit with this for a bit. It says, I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings.
Yeah, teach us about this.
Use worldly wealth to gain friends is the direction. I was thinking about this. I don't know if you guys go to TJ Maxx or Hobby Lobby. Sometimes they got these Christian mugs. And I asked AI to make a Christian mug that just says, use your worldly wealth to gain friends.
I like it.
You're like, I'm going to buy this from TJ Maxx. And as I'm drinking my coffee with my friend, maybe I bought coffee for them, and they just see this mug like, wow, you know what I'm using my worldly wealth for. I think this is difficult. This parable is tough because this manager, he's not a good person. It's nobody who we would say, wow, that's a great job. And yet he's commended. He's commended. He has great self-awareness. He knows I'm ashamed to beg. I don't have that heart. I'm not gonna beg. I'm not strong enough to dig, and so I'm just going to go behind the scenes and create some friends, and so that after all is said and done, I've got a place to live still. For you and I, we have to be those then who use our worldly wealth to gain friends. I want to ask you for a moment. I've got a list here too, but I want to ask you, what would that look like for you on campus? Like, how do you use your worldly wealth to gain friends? And you can even share if you have a moment. If you're still sitting with it, and you're like, this tension there's too much here. I don't feel good about even this phrasing. You can ask questions. You can share some of that too. But how do you use your worldly wealth, what God has given you, to make friends for yourself? What can you do? Yeah.
I think of like talents and
Okay.
just like, just the things that we're good at. Like there's a guy that just moved out of our campus ministry, but something that he was really, really good at is whenever we would all go play basketball and just go pick up basketball for hours, he was always the one that was like making new friends and like being able to use basketball to reach out to people and like he was always getting numbers and like just making more connections through basketball, through that talent.
Yeah, that's right. So using your talents, there's stuff that you guys are good at that as you enter into your school, maybe it is some kind of athletic thing, perhaps it's some kind of music, something or other. Maybe it's just any kind of club on campus where if you have some talent and skill and competency, people will come in and they're going to identify this person knows more than I know. I want to sit next to him and I want to and that's a great example. There was another hand right back here. Yeah, DG.
Paying for somebody's meal.
Okay, so now we're getting in the weeds here. Now we're getting in the meat and potatoes of it. Paying for somebody's meal. Paying for someone's meal costs something. Like it's a sacrifice. Like I'm going to decide to pay for somebody's meal, and yet I will tell you, the older that I get, like it maybe in some ways is normal in the church. Like it's just a normal part of I got you this time. You'll get me back. I know it. We're family and we're together. It's all going to kind of when we get to heaven, it's all going to kind of even out. This concept, paying for somebody something, it is quite foreign to the world. Maybe your family grew up as one who somebody paid for you guys, or maybe or maybe you guys even as siblings like go back and forth. I will let you know, in the world, this is totally unnatural. Like the best $5 or $6 you can spend is buying a coffee or some other kind of soda for somebody as you sit down and hang out with them. Like you'd be surprised at how far $6 can go if you just decide, okay, I'm going to spend. I got it this time. You're like, oh really? You're my friend. Oh, wow. Absolutely. What other things do you guys think about? How can we spend our money well? Forgot. Yeah.
Find somebody a gift.
Okay, so think about this. Now, buying somebody a gift would involve you listening and knowing what they want. It involves you thinking about them when you're at whatever store you're at or going on, whatever online thing. It involves all of that. And so now when you give somebody a gift that's $8 or $10, they're like, oh my goodness, this person really does care about me. This is using our worldly wealth to gain friends. These are a few others that I thought about. If you're gonna have people over at your house, you just have a snack, just have something, some kind of. It could be a popcorn, it could be a bowl of chips, it can be. Then if you get chips and dip, you are way ahead of anybody else. Man, if it's just Lay's, if it's just, if this is the Clancy's brand, Aldi brand, that counts. You get some chips, and it's warm in that house. You pay attention to what people like to eat. Hey, what do you do for fun? Oh man, I love this kind of food. Oh man, you see them, they got that Calypso. I don't know if people still drink the Calypso lemonade. It's like, they got that Calypso lemonade and you're like, that costs something. I'm gonna get you a Calypso lemonade next Bible study. Maybe you look at your closet and you're like, man, I got some name brand stuff. I could put it on Poshmark or Mercari, or I could, I know that this is solid stuff still. I could just give it to somebody in the ministry where like, hey, do you want to look through my clothes and see if you like anything? Yeah. This is another one that we've seen in our ministry that is going to pay dividends as people start embracing it more and more, is spending a little bit of extra money to live with disciples than living at home. There's wisdom to this. You can take this to the far extent. If you share, hey, this random guy at ICMC who's a minister told me to do this, Mom, I need an extra $600 a month. Like that might not work. However, there can be great value in deciding, okay, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit. I'm going to try to finesse my budget in such a way so that I can live with disciples and have a disciple household, so that we can, when we invite people over, there's a warmth there. It was one of the best decisions that I made, being able to live with disciples. And did it cost money? Absolutely, it costed money. Was it worth it? Absolutely, it was worth it. I believe there were so many people that became disciples from just being in our home and seeing that warmth. It teaches you and trains you how to be a great spouse one day, or at least where you need to grow into be a better spouse, great spouse one day, I should say. All of these things, there's perhaps a dozen more. Then here in verse 10, we're going to continue on. Then we're going to end here pretty quickly here. It says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you've not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? Catch that in verse 11. That means that worldly wealth is not true riches, right? He's like, hey, worldly wealth is one thing, but if you're not good with that, I'm not going to give you true riches. And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? What does this mean? What is this talking about? This is Jesus. He's sharing with the disciples, and he's bringing up this difficult parable where there's tension inside of it. This is something that I've sat with for some years. As I sit down and this is one of my great convictions, is that if I spend money well, God is going to bless me with true riches. What does that mean? What are true riches? Well, I believe it. So he goes and he says true riches, and then he says someone else's property. Like if you're not great with your own, why would somebody give you someone else's? People are God's special possession. That's what we're called, right? People are God's special possession. And so I believe God is communicating, this is Jesus communicating. If you spend your money well, your influence with people, your ability to help those go from lost to saved will grow. Because I will see you are good at spending this little bit that we kind of think about as true riches, but it's not. And so for that reason, now your influence on other people will only grow. And it's some divine way. Not only, somebody might not even need to know, he spends money well, for them to just be like, wow, God has put you in my life and you are supposed to help me then. Like these are God's possession that he's going to put you in possession of, that he's going to entrust you with if you can learn to spend money well. This is the great value then. This is the joy of being able to do this. And you think about what your life might look like leaving this room. I have to believe that some of us are going to make great decisions to spend money well. Some of us are going to make great decisions that we already am doing. I'm on my way. I'm going to go even further. Some of us are going to look at the contribution we give right now and say, well, I can give $15, $20 more a week. That costs a lot. I believe I can do it. And you think about what God sees when he sees somebody who's giving just a little bit more. When he sees somebody who sees, oh man, I got to just buy that guy a meal. Somebody who's focused on other people. God says, if you're focused on other people, I can give you more people. We all want to have great impact with those around us. We all want our families to become Christians. I believe a great way to do that, if we're following what the Bible teaches, is through our spending of money and being very faithful with what God has given us.
Amen.
And so then the question, like, what can I do? You start to identify, like, where did I get my perception of money? The second thing that is to open up your budget to a spiritual person. And you're like, what is a budget? Like, I don't have that. My budget is, I get by on by the hair of my chinny chin chin, the skin of my teeth. Like I got a few $100, I'm paying this, I'm paying that. I guess it's the end of the month, man, maybe that paycheck just hit. And you're like, okay, my budget's solid for another few days, and then I'm waiting for the 15th again. However you figure, though, opening up your budget, and if you're like, I don't have a budget, that's great. I got a couple of apps and resources you can use. One, you can just use an Excel spreadsheet. Like that was, for myself and my wife, that was the way that we budgeted for so long. It was such a great blessing in our life to go into the ministry and to not have very much money to start. And it was a blessing. Like we got married right out of college. We were both making, about $3,000 total, but then minus taxes and all of that stuff. We just didn't have an awful lot. We were paying student loans, and so we started from our wedding fund, like the money that people gave us for our wedding. that was like all going towards student loans at that time. And so we're just like, we're like depleting. We're trying to spend so well and be very intentional. Like, we're not going out to eat. We gotta pay, get this. Oatmeal was a big deal. Like, rice was a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, noodles, man, we had noodles on noodles. And we had like, there was a time in my life, I'm like, man, I know that I've made it when I can just eat meat as like a food. Like, I can not like put into pasta. I'm like, no, I can just like buy some chicken and just eat that. And that's how I know that I've made it. It was a great blessing in my life though. Like, the ability to put stuff in and to feel like, wow, we're still giving to God even if we're not making much money. I believe you guys have that opportunity for that great blessing. We're still giving to God. We're not making much money. There's stories for those, even in one of the guys who's ushering right now. He shares his taxes, like somebody does his taxes for him. And the guy that was doing his taxes was like, hey, you guys make this much? Yeah, we make this much. Hey, you messed up your number for your sacrificial or your contribution or your donations to charity. You messed that number up. I think there's a zero that you put extra. And he's like, no, that's what we give to charity. He's like, what? You guys make this amount. This is somebody who's in the world doing his taxes. You guys make this amount and you give this amount. How is that possible? There is something misaligned here with your priorities. And the brother was just able to share the gospel with them. Like, this is what the Bible teaches, and this is what we are going to do every single time.
Wow.
I believe
Amen.
there's some in this room who have the opportunity to do that. Perhaps right now, I believe so many in the next 5 years are going to have so many great opportunities to do that. Well, these are the apps. You might just want to take a picture of this stuff. And I can't speak to all of these. I know that there are some. Every dollar is very commended. All of these, as I understand it, are free, at least for students especially. And so you take a picture. I know YNAB or YNAB, people, your butt. Yeah, this is, people love that one too. There's a few others. There's a faith-based one. These are, your mileage may vary. Like, I'm not sure what's going to work well for you. I do believe there's something in here. But again, this stuff, if you are not yet convicted, you're like, I don't know about this. I would say just doing this is not going to be the solution. All of the stuff before that is going to be a great solution. I'll also say, if you start reading the Bible, you read Jesus' parables about money, I think you're going to leave pretty convicted. You start to see in the book of Acts how they use their money so well. There are stories upon stories of women. Actually, in Luke 8, there's women is where it starts. Like, they decided, we're going to support Jesus' ministry. Just the women are going to support Jesus' ministry, and they're commended for doing that. So don't think, oh, it's just one group of people. No. Everybody is eligible to support God and to give to God.
Amen.
That's the lesson. I'd love, if there's any questions, would love to field those right now. So take a moment, questions, or if something really stood out to you, I'd love to hear that as well.